And welcome to our special Europe edition for Saturday, October 12th, 2019. How's everybody doing?
Doing good.
Yay, wwonderful.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah, great.
All right. Let's get a quick, wow, I think my mic is blowing out here. Let's get a quick thing from chat to say how the sound is. Is my mic too loud? Because I don't want it to be too loud now. Because it seems like it is in OBS. But anyway.
No, it seems fine.
It's fine.
Well, it's not whether or not it's fine for you in Zoom. It's whether or not OBS is catching it too loud for the stream. So, all right.
Yeah, I've just listened back, and it is about 30% louder than mine, and mine's quite loud.
Yeah. So let me. All right. Who's typing? All right. How's that? That's got to be better. All right. I didn't really want it on that.
Yeah, you are a little loud, Rocco. I'm monitoring it as well.
Yep. I didn't want to put this one filter on, but yeah. No, I have to. So there you go. All right, I think we got our sound working. This week, or these last 2 weeks, we have been trying Manjaro 18.1.0. And
my window.
We have, I don't know, I think there's a lot of positive feedback, at least that I've seen in the Telegram group, but let's go to the people who have been trying it. Let's see, Zeb, did you go last week?
I did, but I've got a rather a nice update because I've been using it for the last 2 weeks, and I started to notice some internet chatter that Manjaro hadn't updated for a while, and they were holding it back because they were having, funnily enough, Pizza, issues, I think, with GNOME 3.34. So I jumped around all over the internet and then finally found a thread on the Telegram chat that says, hey, if you want to update and you're getting a bit worried about it, try testing. So I jumped over to the testing repo, and I was a little bit dubious because, you know, like Arch is, it's Arch's Arch and he's known to break. But hey, I went over to the testing repo. I updated 453 updates, 1,393 megabytes of download, updated to the 5.3.5-1 Manjaro kernel, rebooted, sweet as, perfect, not a single issue. So that was just awesome to think that you can jump temporarily to the testing repos and not break your system if you're worried about, I haven't had an update for 3 weeks or however long it was. So that was a really nice testament to the guys to have that working that well. Other than that, it's been working really good.
Awesome. Very nice. So before we go any further, we also have Hanny for the first time ever. How are you?
Hi.
Yay.
I'm great. Thank you.
Glad you could make it.
Hello.
Yes. Hello.
Nice to have another lady in the house.
And we also go ahead, Hanny. Go ahead.
My English is very bad, but I do my best.
Well, who said that on your stream?
Here behind.
Somebody said that on your stream. You speak better English than I speak German, so there you go.
Say it. Rocco, hey, hello.
How are you? All right. We also have, or we had before he just popped out. He must be having issues with Zoom. We had Bernard from Manjaro, and we also expect to see Philip from Manjaro as well. He will be a little bit late, but we hope to maybe get some questions answered from them guys and maybe see what's going on with the Manjaro project from their own take. So, all right, continuing on. Tony, sir.
Yeah, I actually installed it on Metal a couple of weeks ago on a laptop at home, but I'm away again, so I didn't have that machine with me. So earlier on this week, this machine I'm using at the moment, this Dell, I stuck it in VirtualBox, and it was just as easy to install as I remember on Metal, and it just seemed as stable. In fact, it seemed faster when I installed it on a virtual machine than it did when I did it in real life. But I've found a couple of things out while I've been fiddling around with it over the last few days. One of them is the software software center, which looks really cool. All right, it's not as quite as slick as some of the software centers out there, but it's nice to see that in there. And I put a post up on the discourse the other day and just said, as far as I can see, it's kind of the Linux Mint of the Manjaro world, which is the highest praise I can give it. It just rock solid. You know, it's obviously got a lot of stuff in out the box, which Mint did when it first came around, which Ubuntu didn't used to do. But also, you know, Zeb, you mentioned the updates. I waited and I actually got the official updates yesterday. And
nice.
I think there was about 750 meg of them, which took a while to download here at only 4 meg bandwidth, but got them installed. And like you said, solid as a rock, didn't destroy the system at all. So I'm really impressed with it. You know, I could see myself running this as as my go-to distro if everything else went away. Definitely.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much indeed for that, Tony. And let's just see if Bernard is back with us. And can you hear us? And can you speak to us?
Yeah, the strange thing is that my headset is not working when I'm in Zoom. Let me check. I think I have to switch devices somewhere.
Well, we can hear you fine, but there's an echo from someone. Someone's got YouTube on as well, I think.
This is my YouTube stream. Let me turn that off.
Fine, but there's an echo from someone.
Only Zoom had push to talk.
Yeah, right.
Probably like a much requested feature or something.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, well.
So,
go ahead, Zeb.
I was going to just say, so welcome, Bernard, and thanks for joining us today to listen to people's takes on Manjaro. So we're just going to move along to Jill. Jill, have you had a chance to have a look at it?
Oh, yes. In fact, I have 2 different Manjaro spins I've tested recently. And the one I did for Biddle this week was Manjaro Open Box. And first, it ran beautifully. I ran the live USB first for testing, like I do with all the distros. And I love how beautiful and crisp the desktop is, and actually really enjoy the dark wallpaper and theming, and that is actually visually in line with the minimal aesthetic of OpenBox, which I really appreciated because it's one of my favorite window managers. And I ran all the apps, Chromium, GIMP, and installed Blender and Steam, of course. Those are all my go-tos. And the Calamares installer worked really well, as it does for all the other distros, and is really easy to use. And I actually chose SoftMaker Office, SoftMaker Free Office, instead of LibreOffice, just to play with it because I hadn't played with it in a while, and it was nice to have that option, of course. And I really enjoyed that it has multiple terminal apps and other power user apps installed by default, such as Termite, Xterm, and Ranger File Manager, which is one of my favorites. And the PMAC GUI installer worked very well. In fact, usually I use Pacman, but this time I used the GUI installer. And the first thing I did actually is install updates, because it's a rolling release, of course. If you don't, things will break, even though it's only a few months old. And actually, I had to install those updates, even just to get Blender installed. And I really also was impressed with the website. It's beautifully designed, has really nice animations, is a nice visual workflow, and is thematically harmonious with the distro. So that's a really nice touch, that you really worked on that to make it look like the distro.
Hey, Jill.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, did you try to install DaVinci Resolve?
Not on Manjaro. I've never installed it on Arch, but I have all the other distros.
Yeah, because I tried to install it and it wouldn't open for me.
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking it had something to do with the NVIDIA driver, and that's why I wanted to verify with you if you had installed it.
Oh, yeah. Not on Manjaro. That was kind of the next one I was going to try on there. Yeah, it's yeah, there's some tweaks you can do to it, but I know people have gotten it to work on Arch.
Mm-hmm. Well, that'd be a good one. Maybe if you do get time to play with it, you can let us know on the next Iddle Europe how you get on.
Yeah, sure. That would be great because I've gotten it to work, well, obviously with CentOS and Red Hat, but with Ubuntu, with Debian. In fact, Debian, it works beautifully. It works actually better on Debian than it does Ubuntu. So, but I haven't tested it on Arch, so that would be good to know.
All right. Well, thanks very much indeed. Tyler, I believe you went last week, unless you've got any quick updates.
Nope, no more updates on that.
All right, then. Thank you very much indeed. Mr. Nate. How was your...
Which Nate are we going to see?
Cubicle Nate the wait.
I got Cubicle Nate here in the corner.
Okay.
It's the other corner, depending on because I think it's mirrored. So
okay. So,
go ahead. I don't have a lot of love for Arch. I just don't. I've had some bad experiences with it, and I don't like Pac-Man. I think it's a mess. So now, but I'm going to say this: the install of Manjaro, I didn't have any problems with it. It's a Calamares installer, right? Is that it? Is that what it's called? Yes. Yeah. Awesome. Mm-hmm. So the Calamares installer, I've never actually had an issue with that installer on any distribution of Linux, me personally. But I don't normally, when I do a testing system, I don't do a whole lot of like weirdness with it. I'm just testing a system, so I can't tell you how it would be if I had like one of those really wild Rocco setups or Zeb setups. That would be that's a different story.
I don't know what you're talking about, dude.
But on a testing machine or on a virtual machine, it's very easy to use Calamares. So I like the plasma theme. I thought it was really great. Anytime that I'm really partial to like a dark theme with green highlights, just because of the OpenSUSE thing. So I did have a few issues with it in the libvirt or QEMU. It kind of the display kind of went funny on me. Not a big deal. As far as like the default applications, I did go with the free Office because I wanted to try it out. I mean, it's nice, and I don't understand why. I don't understand the hullabaloo about that all that nonsense from a while ago. And what I really liked, as far as like the default applications, and this is where I'll leave it. I like the drop-down terminal by default. Like whosever idea it was to have that in there by default, that's a really good idea. I just like the drop-down terminal. I have it on my system. And just to have that, quick hit F12 and you can do whatever you want to do. It's very, there was a video game, I can't remember the name of it, that had that. Does anybody remember, Tyler?
Some weird name like that, right?
Yeah, I can't remember. But anyway, I like that. That's pretty cool. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. As far as like negative things to say, I mean, I didn't really test it long enough to see if I had any breakage with it. So that's not, it didn't break on me. I do like the fact that Manjaro does hold back updates, from Arch to kind of test it and run it through some quality assurance. I think that's a great thing, and I hope they continue to do that. So now I wouldn't leave OpenSUSE for Manjaro. That's not going to happen. However, if OpenSUSE disappeared or they change the name to something really stupid, it'd be on the table, I think. So except for the Pac-Man, I don't really care for Pac-Man. Outside of that, I think it's, I'll give it 2 thumbs up.
Cool.
Very nice.
Yay.
All right, Derek.
Oh, I did a little bit more testing on it. I went on the testing branch, and it updated several times, and all the updates went through great. I have it running on 3 machines. I've had it running on 1 machine since day 1 that I put that on there. It's been on there for a few months now, and that one's on the stable branch. But I even threw ButterFS on the laptop, and it's been running good. So I'm real happy with it, and I'm going to continue with it.
So which versions have you tried, Derek?
I have tried the KDE, the GNOME, I've tried the i3. Those are the 3 main ones that I've tried.
That's the very 3 versions that I have tried. Actually, I started out with Awesome, and like I'm new to the whole window manager thing, so I had nowhere to start with Awesome as far as there was no, like in i3, there's a keyboard, on the desktop,
Wallpaper,
there's keyboard shortcuts
Yeah.
there. With
Mhm.
Awesome, there was not, so I was like, okay, I'm going to switch, and I installed i3, and that was way better. But yeah, I did install KDE and GNOME, so yeah. All right, PowerShell, how are you, sir? Welcome to Biddle.
Hey, good. Call me DM. It's easier.
DM.
I'm good.
Did you get a chance to try Manjaro?
Not in this run, but I tried it in the past, and I quite like it. I tried the KDE Plasma edition, and I like all the little tweaks that they've made to it. So
well, I think that's one of the advantages of Manjaro that kind of gets overlooked is all of the work that they put into it through customizing it to the way that it should be, or the way that the developers feel that it should be. And you get awesome themes no matter which version you pick. You get customizations as far as like the GNOME version has extensions installed by default, turned on. The one thing I will say though is, for the GNOME version, the Arc menu is installed by default, and that's fine. But when I scaled the display up to 200%, the Arc menu did not scale very well. So it kind of like smushed together, and there was nothing that I could see to do to fix that. I don't know if that's specific to the extension. Maybe it doesn't support, high DPI or whatever. Who knows? But either way,
I also have to agree with Cubicle Nate. I don't like Pac-Man as a package manager at all. I think all the command line parameters don't really make sense if you compare it to like other distributions like apt and DNF and Yum and Zapper, all the other ones. Like Pac-Man is my least favorite. It always, because I'm not using Arch on a day-to-day basis. It's always like I always have to Google like, oh, what is this? What is that? Like really get it going. But it's really nice that Manjaro has a GUI interface for managing your packages and your updates like that.
Well, I think that not liking Pac-Man's a personal preference. I don't.
I'm sure it is. Yeah.
I never. I mean, I know that there's differences between Pac-Man and some of the other package managers, but I never really considered not liking one over the other. I just looked at it like they operated differently. So
yeah.
I just think it's easier to, because all the other ones usually have a form of like, package manager name, install some package or update or upgrade or words that make sense. And with Pac-Man, it's always like -s -u -something like. I always have to.
You see, this is really strange because although it's different, maybe it's just me, maybe I'm just weird, but I jump distros left, right, and center. You know that I try things out all over the place. So whether I'm doing sudo apt get install or pacman -s YYU, my brain just switches over, and it surprises me that it does that. But if you guys have difficulty with the way it words their upgrade, why don't you just make yourself some aliases? Update me now. Install this.
Of course you can, but if you just install it, like I'm saying, that out of the box is not, at least for me, is not very intuitive.
But let's put it this way: if you started with Arch and then moved to apt, wouldn't apt feel weird?
Probably.
No.
Yeah.
Come on, Nate. If you never used OpenSUSE before or apt and you started on Arch, you probably would think that is a little weird.
If I started on Arch and then I went to apt or zipper or DNF, I'd be like,
Yeah.
wow, this makes sense. Why didn't they do this before on with Arch?
Well, there is this program called Sysgit that someone made, and it basically it detects your package manager, and then you use it has the same syntaxing for all package managers. So you just type
What is it
Sysgit
called?
install.
Yeah,
Sysgit.
Sysgit. Yeah.
I'll put the GitHub in the stream chat.
It's
and
great. It's a
You can use it.
universal package manager.
Yeah.
And it
No,
uses
it's not a package manager. It's kind of a front end.
Like a wrapper.
It's
like
a wrapper,
package.
yeah. But yeah, it functions as a universal package manager.
What's funny about it is I made a program called TermGet, and the developer of Sysgit was also a developer of TermGet, and then he used some of the TermGet code in Sysgit.
Nice.
So,
can I intervene here?
Please do, yeah.
We also have PAMX CLI. Probably you guys should look at this one.
Yeah, I like PAMX.
We have the commands, the options are more intuitive, like search, info, install, reinstall, build, remove.
What
so
is it
that's
called?
really it also PAMX.
It's the PAMX CLI app.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the PAMX CLI version. And yeah, that would probably be a solution for this preference.
Well, just so you know, Bernard, you can interrupt at any time to throw in things like that.
Where's the red button?
I think you're considered a VIP, so yeah, you can just do whatever.
So if you tried... Oh, go ahead, Popey.
I just wanted to mention that in favor of OpenSUSE, on OpenSUSE, by default, if you type app is a symlink to aptitude, which is a Perl script that translates the major app command into zipper command. So SUSE are super friendly because they even make it easy for people coming. They appreciate that people may be coming from another place. And if you type app, it will do the right thing anyway.
Well, that's good to know, Popey, but your mic is, I think, on the wrong one again. I think it switched.
And Bernard, do you happen to have a link to sort of like a tutorial for PAMX CLI?
Oh well, the easiest thing in the terminal you type PAMAC help, or just PAMAC, and it will list the commands.
Right, gotcha.
And then you can also use one of the commands, and it will give you the options and more explanations.
I like that. There you go, Nate. That's you sorted because you've got PAMAC search, info, list, install, reinstall, clone, build, remove.
See, now I want you to go away, Nate, and come back after you've tried CLI and give your review.
All right. Okay. All right, Matt.
He's gone.
All right.
There's also the TLDR app that will help with learning commands. It's better than man pages in some ways.
All right then, superb. So Derek DM Pizza, did you get a chance to? Yes, I think we did because we heard before. Yes, but tell us all about it.
So I switched to Manjaro. I think it was the minimal install. I switched to Manjaro GNOME about 4 or 5 weeks ago because I needed the AUR for an upcoming video, and I was on Ubuntu, which obviously doesn't have the AUR, and I was too lazy to install Pure Arch. But this was before 18.1 came out. Although since it's rolling, I did just upgrade all the packages, so I guess I am on 18.1, right, I guess. Now, I wasn't a fan of the customizations they made to GNOME, but I really liked how there was a tool, a cleanup tool or whatever it's called, where you could just open it and it will reverse all of the customizations Manjaro made. I really like that tool, and I think every distro that customizes its desktop should have that just in case. Like, have the customization just for the people who might want it, but then have a tool for the people who would want the stock VE. I loved how some like key AUR packages were already in the repositories. I can't remember any specifics off the top of my head, but there were a couple times where I needed an AUR package, and I would go onto aur.archlinux.org and I'd see it, and then I'd open it in PAMAC and see that it's actually in the default repo. And I really hate updating AUR packages because of how it has to recompile, and AUR packages take forever to install and update. So it was nice that they already had pre-compiled stuff in the repo. I did have an issue where I am in the United States, but I use Canadian mirrors because I'm in Seattle and it's super close to Canada. One of the Canadian mirrors broke, and I had to fix it. I don't think it's being listed on the Manjaro mirror site anymore, but I think it was the only Canadian mirror. It broke, and for some reason, I configured I think I configured mirrors through Pac-Man, and since I was the only Canadian mirror, that ended up being my only repository. So I had to switch mirrors because it broke. I didn't get to try FreeOffice because as a kid, I don't really use Office suites. I do use Microsoft Office Online for school because that's what the school requires us to use. That's the only Office suite I use basically because I'm forced to. Now, yesterday, I was having an issue where Ubuntu just broke on my laptop. I don't know why. It was something to do with no mode set. And I decided to put on Manjaro Plasma. Now, this is my first time using Plasma in like 4 or 5 months, because every single time I use Plasma, what happens is I make a bunch of customizations, and then I shut down the computer, and then the next time I boot on, all of my customizations are broken. This happens on every distro I've tried, even Pure Arch, except Manjaro is the first distro I've had to not have that issue. So, very good there. I love PAMAC. Normally with every distro, I just use command line package managers, but PAMAC is probably one of the only graphical user interfaces that I would prefer over the command line. It's really user friendly. It just works great. I love it. Now, I did have an issue. I don't know if this is Manjaro specific, but I recently got a PlayStation Vita, and I was trying to mount it through USB because I was trying to transfer a really big file to it that would have taken forever through FTP, and I couldn't get it to mount XVAT for some reason. My system just wouldn't mount XVAT, and this happened like 5 days ago before Ubuntu broke, but it didn't work on my Manjaro install, and I tried a bunch of things, and then I just got onto Ubuntu, and it did work. So I'm not sure why that was happening, but I was unable to mount this PS Vita on Manjaro. And then the last issue I had was, since Manjaro always has older versions of packages, I'm working on a YouTube video that requires a lot of AUR packages, a lot of obscure programs. Well, for one of the packages, I had an issue where it was depending on a newer version of a package that was in Arch, but wasn't in the Manjaro repos. And I ended up having to put Arch on a second hard drive, and then just that one program, since it was for a video, I recorded that part on the other Arch build. Other than that, though, I had no issues. It's very stable. Probably, for me, other than the fact that it's rolling release, everything ran probably more stable than Ubuntu for me, to be honest. Sorry, Alan. But
not my computer, your computer.
For me, everything just worked on Ubuntu and Pop! OS and even Debian. I'd have weird issues with GNOME stuff rendering, and it's not because I'm using Wayland. I always stay away from Wayland. I use Xorg. But I just had weird issues with GNOME and Budgie too. I didn't use Budgie on Manjaro, but I had weird issues with both GNOME, Plasma, and Budgie, and I didn't have any issues I didn't have any DE related issues on Manjaro. It's like the versions of the desktops, like they just work better for some reason, and I don't know why. And even Pure Arch has issues with the same desktops, but then Manjaro runs them fine, and I don't know why that happens. So great job with the support for just desktop environments in terms of how buggy they are, because I've had like bug-free experiences with pretty much every desktop I've tried, and then I go onto Kubuntu and I have issues where KDE ruins my customizations.
Sounds like you need to file a bug, young man.
Well, I don't know what to file the bug because it's really weird because it happens on Manjaro, or it doesn't happen on Manjaro, but then I'm running the same version as another distro and it happens on that version or on that distro. So I'd probably have to file a bug with the distro maintainers, but still. That was the thing keeping me away from Plasma. But now that this is working properly on Manjaro, I might have to give Plasma another try on Manjaro.
You do.
That's probably the definitive Plasma experience right now in terms of bugs, not having them.
Yep. So we have Bernard here. We also have Philip. Philip, is your sound working yet? Is your mic working yet?
It might work. Do you hear me clearly, or should I switch to a different microphone? I have a second one also here.
No, that's fine. That's perfect. How are you?
I'm good. I'm sitting in a car in Munich, so sorry for the delay.
No, don't worry about it. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it.
That's awesome.
This is the car life.
And at the
Don't
same
drive and stream.
Yes.
Yeah, but the same goes for you, Phil. If anybody says something and you'd like to make a comment or help them out with it, just please jump in. Don't wait for on protocol, because yourself and Bernard just jump in there and help us understand what is or what isn't right about what we just said. So that'd be cool.
Sure, no problem.
So great stuff. So moving on to Mr. Alan Pope. Good evening, sir.
Hello, is this the right microphone?
It certainly is.
Good. So I use Ubuntu every day, and while I have VMs for every distro, and one of them is Manjaro, as you may be able to see behind me, it's not my daily driver. Because I've had work-related stuff to do, like we've got a release coming out on Thursday, I haven't had a chance.
Yeah.
Just something minor,
Little thing you might have heard of. So I haven't, but I have thoughts on Manjaro. It is the one Arch distro that I actually don't have a hard time using. I like the default environment that's set up when you first install. I've got the XFCE version here. I find it fast. I find it tasteful. I find the selection applications right, the right icon set. It just feels like a nice environment, to work in. If I didn't work at Canonical and I wasn't such a massive Ubuntu fanboy, then maybe I'd use Manjaro. But that said, there are people who work at Canonical with Manjaro. So it's not like we all have to use Ubuntu. We don't. But I choose to because I prefer it. One little niggle that I have is the fast-moving nature of Arch. That VM behind me was last updated 7 days ago. And I've just opened the update manager and I have a gigabyte of updates to do in 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
That's too fast for me. That's too much.
Yeah.
I haven't even installed anything on that, right? That's
Yeah.
the stock XFCE installed, and I've got a gig of updates to do. That's just too much. So, but that's just for me, right? For other people, that's great. The old little meme of Windows user, Mac user, Linux user, and the Linux users are like, hooray, updates! Like some people love that, and that's fine, right? So I think
shiny.
Yes, exactly. Do shiny. So I think the Manjaro people do an amazing job. They're also lovely people, and I wish them well. That's just not for me. That's all.
Well, I think part of it is like when I installed Manjaro, I installed it once and then I didn't have any updates for 3 weeks. They all kind of add up at once, and I think that's what happened with you.
Right, that's possible that they're all blocked on like QA or whatever, or they're gated on something else, and there's a whole load of them building up, and then eventually they get unblocked by one final package getting through QA, and then suddenly you get them all. That's entirely possible.
Yeah.
Maybe I've just picked a bad week.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's just the wrong week to try Manjaro.
All right. Well, I will say that there was, I think I had 443 updates yesterday for that update, but it did give me GNOME 3.34, so there's that.
I'm going to get confused.
Hey.
So I don't even get. I don't even get that as an excuse.
That's it. We had a GNOME obstipation, kind of.
Well, everything updated, booted fine, so I had no issues with the update at all.
And
Now I've said that, I'm going to click apply.
Yeah.
Do it.
Oh,
do it, dude.
Do it, Pope.
Live. Do it live.
We'll
Live
see if
updates.
it finishes by the end of the stream.
This will be fun. I'm currently doing updates on my ThinkPad, so.
Cool.
I remember
Well,
one time I was running Arch and I updated the computer that I'm using for Biddle while the stream was going and it broke midstream.
yeah, that does. Well, you know what's significant about the 3.34 release is it's running via systemd. So that's been a really interesting
Yep.
you know, yeah. So the fact that it's as smooth install as it is saying something about that. So yeah, it's systemd managed now.
All right. Aris, you went last week, correct?
Yes, I did go last week.
All right, Bill, sir, how are you?
Good, Rocco. How are you?
I'm doing awesome, dude. What are you doing today? Like, what's happening today?
Not as much as Alan, but I do some stuff that the 1910 release has kind of messed up a lot of stuff. But also like Alan, if I did not use Ubuntu or Debian, Manjaro would be what I would choose to use. So before I go into anything, I do have a question for Phil and Bernard. Can you tell me who maintains the Mate release?
This is Stefano doing it. He's from Italian, and yes, he's doing GNOME and Mate.
Okay. Just if he doesn't listen to this, tell him he's doing a heck of a job. So I work with Martin on Ubuntu Mate, and the implementation you guys do of Mate is phenomenal. So it's probably, obviously, Ubuntu Mate, Manjaro, and Solus are doing the best implementations of Mate out of the box that I've seen. I ran this on Architect, which I think is the best thing that you guys have going. I love Architect. My only criticism or constructive criticism for Architect is that when you're going through and you're updating your mirrors, at some point you'll get to mirrors in Iran and other locations, and it will hang. And I don't know if that's something you guys want to. I know there's some bug reports and some stuff in the forums about that, but I do see that when I'm doing installs on Architect, when it gets to some of the countries that have some interesting activities going on with them and are under blockades and stuff. I see blockages, and it halts for a long time, that installation. Otherwise, I think you guys do awesome. Obviously, I have a preference for Mate. I think your Cinnamon implementation is great. I think Bernard, I think you do that one. I think you're doing a bang up job on that. And I think the stock XFCE implementation is just also phenomenal. So I wish I could have spent a little bit more time in the last 2 weeks doing this. It's just too much, but thank you guys, and thank you for being here, and thank you to all of your team. One final thing, and I know you guys took a lot of flack for it. When you added SoftMaker's free office to the installation, we have seen since then a bunch of updates from SoftMaker has put out to free office. And I don't believe that we would have seen those updates if you guys wouldn't have worked so well with them. So I appreciate that as well. So thank you guys a lot.
Yep. I've been saying the same thing. The work that you guys did with them, we would never have the saving of doc files right now in the free version if you guys would have started that work. So definitely is much appreciated. All right, Linux Paul, first time. Are you ready, dude? Nothing, no audio, sir. Oops. How about now? Try it again. All right, we're going to move on. Keep trying, Paul, and we'll get back around to you, all right? Hanny?
Hello, guys. I tested the Manjaro XFCE version in a virtual box because my main system is Manjaro KDE here on my main system over 1 year, and on another old laptop, KDE 2. I make three updates on all of the machines, and all went fine. I cannot say others. Yes. I make a video how I download and verify the ISO, and I have written it in the forum that the link from the SH1 file is not being there if you download the ISO. And I think that will be a good choice for all that they have the SH1 file together with the ISO.
Cool.
Yes.
All right, Hanny. Well, thank you very much for that. Alistair, welcome back. And have you tried Manjaro?
I have indeed. I've tried the plasma. I'm hoping my audio's okay. I tried the plasma, installed fine. I managed to break it on an update, but that was my fault and not Manjaro's, apparently, and redid it again. After that, it ran fairly well. I didn't have any problems with it. It is a quick distro, I'll give it that. Even the plasma is quite fast. I did enjoy using it. I do have it still installed on one of my partitions, in fact, so I haven't actually taken it off. I did take it off to test something else, but I reinstalled it again. I didn't have any problems with the Calamaris installer. It's just Calamaris. It is as it is. That's about all from me, to be honest, Rob. Sorry about that. But there's nothing to complain about, really. Nothing really to complain about. Anything that you don't like, you can change. The only issue is when you're using the AUR, do not update everything. Just don't. It just changes pipes very quickly. Don't do that.
But sometimes a sort of like a non-review speaks volumes, because you put it on, it worked, and you couldn't find anything wrong with it. So other than saying it just works, sometimes a non-review, if that makes sense, is as good as a good review.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And as a base install, it's fine. If you click to the base install, you can update it as Pope says, Alan says. Yeah, there's a lot of updates, but I think they do exactly what Peach Loving Earth says, where they put together a lot of updates and wang it on you all at one time. I think that does happen. But apart from that,
I think, I mean, I've been using Manjaro on and off for about probably 4 years now, and it's only when, I think like this time round, they had a problem with GNOME 3.34, because I've never seen such a big update before. Normally, you'll get them in bite-sized chunks. You might get a couple of 100 meg, or you'll get 2 or 3 a day. But I've never seen them come through in this large chunk before. And it's because they were holding it back because they had issues. And that's the difference between Manjaro and Arch. Arch, it's just cop that and you sort it out. Manjaro say, no, we've seen this issue. Let us sort it out, and then we'll give it to you. Which for me just makes Arch easy. It's great.
Yep, agreed.
Thank you very much. Bernard, I think we know what you use, but do you want to give us a quick update on why Manjaro?
I have been trying Manjaro now for 5 years.
I love it.
And I've switched over from Ubuntu because I couldn't get my laptop working properly because it was too new. So I needed a more up-to-date distro. So that's where I got stuck somehow. And I started with XFCE, and then I needed a challenge. And then like Rocco, I tried i3. Awesome was not available at the time. And I found it really hard. Rocco, I understand you very well. So my challenge somehow was to, first of all, figure it out myself. And then since the edition was not maintained at the time, I tried to find a way to present it in a way that it would be easy accessible. And that's kind of the mentality, I think, that goes very well with Manjaro.
And you
I've
succeeded
also
well
been
with the
trying
i3.
Cinnamon quite a while because I have a small laptop that I use for when I'm on my way, and it uses i3 because the screen is small, and I like to use all the space. And I have a bigger machine at home, and this one runs Cinnamon. And I'm on the unstable branch, so I'm spared of the huge updates on one day. I really enjoy this a lot because I have several times a day, I have a few megabytes, so that's really nice. But then, of course, it's the risk of running into issues, and that's exactly what happened just recently with the latest stable update. We had this funny thread on Twitter: if I don't receive an update by tomorrow, I will switch to Arch.
Bye.
So yeah, yeah. So we were really intimidated by that. So we fired up. Now it's what we do, right? We collect packages, and in this case, it was apparently quite hard. I was not so much involved myself because I'm not so much into GNOME, but with our customizations and the theming, and nothing would work in the beginning, and so I think it was a good decision that we did not move too fast. And apparently, we waited long enough. It seems like most of the stuff is working, except of some extensions. But at least the default stuff should be okay. So that was quite intense for most of my colleagues, I would say. Stefano and Matti and Bogdan and Philip were quite busy with this. I was quite
Excellent.
safe with my editions.
All
yeah,
right.
what else? Yeah, what would you like to know?
Oh,
Well,
lots.
well, I think what we're gonna end up doing is we're gonna finish these couple people, and then we'll do like a whole question and answer session.
Oh my God!
About
Sure.
Manjaro.
Yeah.
So if
Let's
you
do
don't,
that.
if you're okay with that,
cool.
All right, Eric, sir, how are you?
Yes, sir. Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. I'm here talking to you about Linux. I mean, what could be better, man? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't get any better than this.
I know, right?
So I've used Linux for a long time, and over that course of history, I've used two distributions primarily: Ubuntu based, and that could be anything Ubuntu based, and Lord knows there's hundreds of them, and Arch, and that would be either vanilla Arch or some derivative, and most of the time that was Manjaro. And so I've been using Manjaro off and on since its inception, and I've seen it evolve in really interesting ways and try to tame something that can be a very challenging thing to do, which is a bleeding edge rolling distro. And I have to say that there are times where I will want to run some vanilla Arch, either just Arch itself or something that's very lightweight, because Manjaro is sort of the other side of that, right? They're giving you everything, and Arch is giving you nothing, and you sort of, you either take that choice. The last time I ran vanilla Arch, I was on it for about 6 weeks, and even at the end of that time, I was still on a near daily basis having to do things for myself. So there would be something that I would want to do that wasn't pre-configured. I'd have to go out, either figure it out myself, install it, configure it, go through all the steps, and it was very time consuming. And at the end of that 6 weeks or so, I kind of said to myself, Arch is great because it's a rolling distro. Like Bernard said, you have newer hardware. There are lots of reasons why a rolling distro makes sense, but the amount of effort you have to put into vanilla Arch can be overwhelming at times. And so the thing I appreciate about Manjaro, and I've used all of the different variations and desktops, architects, literally everything they've done, and it's always of a certain level of completeness and quality and convenience, and any of those adjectives that make running Arch on a desktop easier for not just newer people or less experienced people, but busy people who want to run that system and don't want to spend all of the time that you have to spend to configure it. Certainly there are cases for the bare bones approach, and if you have a very specialized system or if you're trying to achieve a certain thing. But I just have to say that I don't really have a lot of feedback on, the desktop looks like this or these applications are installed. I mean, there's certainly some things that I appreciate, the custom things they do. It's up to people to decide whether or not they like it and whether or not, what desktop they like. I'm talking more about the team themselves and the work that they do. When you talk about it took you had that many updates. It's because they were testing it. It's because when it goes to stable, they want it to be stable, and that's something fairly unique in the Arch world. Where they're holding back things until it gets to a point where their user base is not going to run into into the problems that maybe Bernard's going to run into because he's on unstable. And I appreciate that. I think it's with you guys having incorporated and moving forward on a different path in terms of what value I see in Manjaro bringing. That's really, I think, one of the biggest secrets is the fact that they're curating and managing that. And as an end user, you have a certain level of expectation of quality and stability that you might not otherwise have running Arch, either just straight Arch or some other derivative. So, from that perspective, I just have to say thank you for all the years of giving me, an enjoyable experience, a stable experience on any desktop I want to run, which is also amazing because usually there's such a limit, there's a limited, you either have to download a completely different distribution or something like that. So the fact that I can just choose is fantastic and have that same solid base. And really, I think the only feedback I had for the latest release is, I don't know how to, it's the BRA, B-R-A-U, or B-A-U-H, sorry. So I like things that consolidate, like, where do I get this program, right? And the idea that I've been using, there's a couple, there was a website, it was called like Linux App Store that just shut down. And there is a, I think it's Electron app, but it's an app image. But so when I tried this and saw that this was what that did, I thought that was a really smart idea, and it's very convenient and easy and user friendly. I think maybe the discoverability and understanding exactly what it does for newer users might, maybe work on some of that. But in terms of the utility of it, I was able to just download stuff from, hey, it's a Flatpak, great, I'll do that. It's a Snap, I'll do that. It's that's very convenient. So again, all of those convenience aspects of being able to just use an Arch-based system in a very straightforward way, without taking hours and hours and hours to do the simplest things, and the stability with the stable releases, it's all good. I mean, it is the best way I can think of to run Arch.
Well,
so
Terry Love made a comment in the YouTube chat. He says, Manjaro, it's rolling, but slow rolling, not freewheeling down a steep hill. So yeah. There you go. All right, man. Thank you. Robin, how are you?
Hey, I'm good, thanks, Rocco, and welcome everybody, and good to see you all again here for another month. So I've chosen a different option for this test. So one of the reasons for it is that I'm pretty bored of GNOME and LXDE at the moment. So I've opted for the LXDE download for this test. And first impressions was it wasn't that great on a virtual machine. Pretty sluggish in my opinion, but that's probably more my hardware than anything else. So today I put it on bare bones metal and gave that a run. No issues so far, running like a dream. The first thing I did was obviously fire up the terminal and run a quick check on RAM, and I was quite pleased to see that it was only using 280 megabytes of RAM, which is very good out of my 16 gigs. So immediately that impressed me. And then I opted obviously for this install to do the minimal install. So me being a bit of an Arch experimenter, I then started installing all of the applications that I would necessarily run on a daily basis. And first one being is Opera as my browser, but Firefox obviously is my main driver on that one. And then I was looking for Office and couldn't see Office. So obviously that's because it's minimal install. So without looking at all the other options, FreeOffice and the other one that's available out there, obviously went for LibreOffice. And I noticed that in the package manager, it was a lower version being offered to me. So I I just downloaded the fresh install, so that gave me the 6.3.2 edition of LibreOffice. In terms of desktop environment, guys, I have to say I am loving this. This LXDE. I've used LXQT in the past, and I do like that, but it's not exactly user-friendly for my liking. But LXDE, I've got to say, I think it'd be good for the slightly older generation, for the slightly visually impaired, because the first thing that sprung out to me was the theming on it was large fonts, dark colors, great icons, and I just personally think that would be pretty good for the visually impaired there. I don't know if the rest of the system itself would run from an accessibility point of view, but I'm yet to test that. Desktop environment wise, obviously I'm so used to using GNOME and XFCE. This one became quite a bit of a challenge for me in terms of finding where things are, because the first thing that springs to mind is the menu. It's all categorized, but you can't really see that much shouting at you obviously in this minimal install. But I noticed that the super key on my keyboard doesn't fire up the menu. I have to press Control and Escape to bring that menu up. But what I do like is there is a run option. So I can go there and I can immediately just start typing Firefox. And if Firefox is installed, then it will suggest that to me as an option to click and then open up Firefox, which is great. The terminal, yeah, that's not been an issue with me at the moment. So that's pretty good. I would probably say the only issues that I'm having at the moment is that I have one unallocated partition on my drive, which gparted picks up, but it doesn't allow me to do anything with it. So I think that's probably partly because it's sitting there in amongst the Windows 10 part of my drive. And incidentally, oh yeah, I've got to say this, as a good thing, when I installed this on bare bones metal here, it detected Windows 10 and it offered me a dual boot option. So it installed it alongside it, which is great. So in terms of an install, I had no issues there whatsoever. And I've got a grub menu. My machine boots into either Windows or Manjaro LXDE now, which is pretty fantastic. But I will just warn anyone that's using this DE version of the Manjaro family of desktops. It's not, I wouldn't say it's buggy, but it's a learning experience. I will say that. So anybody considering downloading and trying this one out, I suggest you watch a few YouTube videos beforehand. But apart from that, all good, and great to see that I'm being offered latest kernel offerings as well. Oh, well, one for the Manjaro guys while they're online. I've been offered quite a few package updates today. The taskbar is telling me on your M logo that there's 9 updates, but when I click the icon, it doesn't do anything. So I don't know if it's going to pop up a window to actually show me I'm supposed to have these updates to download. So the only way I'm updating at the moment is to actually go into the terminal and do a manual update. So that's the only suggestion I would make, is to try and make that logo in the taskbar do something for people, and then they can action the updates. Apart from that, great, and looking forward to using it for a few more days yet.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed. Now, Phil, on to you, and I think we know what you're going to say that you've been using for a few years now. So tell us about your experiences with Manjaro and why you stayed and why you've been using it for so long.
Well, I started Manjaro using, I think, 2011. So since then, I just daily tested out. So till now, I found some issues, some crashes and stuff. But over the years, I think we got better to avoid crashes and so on. And yes, my desktop is XFCE, so this is the one I'm maintaining. And also we used since the beginning when we started. around 2011 and brought out the new Manjaro after we had it slightly redesigned after the initial post in the Arch forum.
Cool. Sounds really good. And yeah, it's been just one of those distributions that for me has always just worked. So very good job. But this will be an interesting one because the next gentleman up, if he's around, Silent, are you there?
Yep.
Silent has done his own like little Arch distribution just for himself, and then we bullied him into putting it out there for everybody else to use. So,
Yeah.
Silent, have you had a chance to try Manjaro?
I have tried Manjaro. I've used Manjaro on and off for the last 4 or 5 years, primarily XFCE or Plasma editions. It was partly Manjaro that inspired me to do my own distribution because of the things I didn't like in Manjaro that I wanted to put in my own. No disrespect to the Manjaro developers at all, but I've always found Manjaro for me to be a little bit sluggish in use, no matter what hardware I run it on. And I needed to try and resolve that. And that is where Salient came into being because I wanted something a lot snappier, a lot quicker, and more responsive. From my perception, it's all personal perception at the end of the day. But as a distribution, I think Manjaro was very, very good. It is something I would use now that Antergos is gone, which was one of my favorite Arch distributions. Manjaro would be my second, no doubt.
Well, it's good to have you back, Silent. Just saying.
Good to be back, Rocco.
All right, Tony, sir, how are you?
Not too bad, thanks. I've always liked Manjaro. I have it installed on the laptop. Unfortunately, due to a house move, I've only got the computer system back up and running yesterday. So I don't actually have anything. Sadly, I've not had time to look at it. I even forgot this was the second Saturday and realised that I'd missed the beginning. Disappear again shortly, but I will try to be back for the late night one, and we'll see how things go. And I'll pass now to the next person in the queue.
Nice. Linux Paul, did you get your audio working?
No.
That's a big negative. All right. We'll try to get back around to you, Paul. EB in house.
Good evening, everybody. How are we doing?
Hi, EB.
Lovely to see you all. What a jolly, gorgeous looking bunch of Linux community tuxies you are. How are we all doing? Rocco, for you, mate, I try to keep that so FF, mate. Seriously.
Thank you. Yeah. I appreciate that. I'd have to put you in the waiting room if you didn't.
and just to give a quick heads up to our two guests, EB is a flavour to himself. If you've never watched his YouTube channel, go down to English Bob's YouTube channel and find out what you're in for. So go on, Steve, away you go, son.
Okay, so Manjaro, or is it Manjaro? You take your pick. Manjaro, I have to be honest, I've always used the XFCE. Positive points, I would like to say it's one of the most brilliantly themed out of the box XFCE distros I've ever used. So all kudos and all credit to the Manjaro team. It's terrific. It really is. From the first time I've ever used Manjaro, it's always had a snappiness that the Ubuntu-based distros never had. But I've always put that down to the fact that it's been built and based off of Arch. However, in the last few months, I've had to note that the speed difference between Arch and Ubuntu has seriously come down. Now, I don't know whether that's because Ubuntu sped up or whether it's because Arch is slowed down. But now the speed difference for me personally is minimal. I would also like to say, I think Manjaro out of the box is the #1 distro by a country mile for anybody who's got an Optimus type gaming laptop. The guys and girls over at Manjaro have done a fantastic job that a lot of other distros wouldn't go amiss if they actually took a leaf out of Manjaro's book. So that is absolutely brilliant. Last but not least, the package management and everything is superb. The only thing that would stop me using it as a daily distro is because I'm so loved up with Peppermint. It's that simple. But for me, there's too many Linux users on the planet with too many good things to say about Manjaro for them all to be wrong. So all I'd like to say is a fantastic XFCE distro, absolutely brilliant. I know Sudo Reboot loves it to bits. Everybody else has got nothing but superlatives to throw at it. Why would I be any different? The only thing that stops me using it is it's called Manjaro, and it's not di Pepperminte. I'm done.
All right.
Pronunciation depends on how you pronounce Kilimanjaro. If you say Kilimanjaro, then you are allowed to say Manjaro because it actually derives from the African mountain.
Oh, cool. Good to know.
Finally.
Fabulous. Thank you for sharing that. So now I am officially allowed to call it Manjaro and not get slated for it. Lovely.
All right. That is our take on Manjaro 18.1.0. The rest of the show, we normally talk about other things Linux, but I think because we have Philip and Bernard here, we are going to talk to them about Manjaro itself. And if you have any questions, put them in chat so we can get to them. If you guys have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask away. I have two topics that I definitely would like to cover. One is obviously Manjaro becoming a company, and two, the whole free office, LibreOffice situation and how you guys handled it. So let's start with the free office. Either Phil, Bernard, whoever wants to answer, that's fine. But what was the decision process of starting out? Like, how did you start out this process? Where did that idea come from, I guess?
Well, the idea comes from an email from SoftMake itself. They ask us, hey, what is the deal? How can we get our packages into your distro? And then we said, well, why not? SoftMaker is a German company. They have an office also for Windows and Mac OS. And why not adding them to our distribution? And so we started to communicating with them and find a way how to get it packaged.
All right. So you get it packaged. You decide you're going to put it out in a release candidate, I guess. How did you communicate this to your community members and everybody out there using Manjaro?
Well, it was just slightly we put it into a distribution and announced it in a testing news announcement that we have it in our distribution now. And then we tested it out, putting it simply as the default Office suite in a release candidate. And then the bomb went off that everybody says, hey, what is going on? Proprietary, don't like it. And boom, chakalaka, we had a problem. And which then went out to our management. Nobody knew that we are a company. So everybody, there were some comments in the forums. Hey, this decision looks like company-like. What is it? And then we said, okay, what can we do from management point of view? So we talked to Adrian from Calamaris, and Clemens helped us out to say, hey, there is an issue, and maybe we will add a module for selection of the packages. So we started the mockup, and Adrian started to work it out in 1 week, and we tested it. And the next RC has this Office chooser, which we actually designed to have even options like choosing the desktop environments and so on. It was always the idea between Calamaris is always be modular and make a package chooser, not only for like Office we did, so we show off, hey, this model works, but also in a later version, we will use it to make an architect in graphical version via Calamaris. So you can choose the desktop, or you can choose which packages you want to install from a local repository and such on. So it's always between how we do it from the company side and how we do it for the community itself. So that's how we got this model into Calamaris after all.
All right, so I think, there was a lot of uproar. You said there was a bomb that went off, and I think that, there was no question about it. There was a lot of uproar about it. But I think the way it was handled and putting that option in the installer was a perfect example of a distribution listening to the community and finding a way to come to a happy medium between the two to allow that to be there and yet still be able to say, yes, we are listening to you as a community. So I think that was a great job.
Yeah, it was our intention to have also that software there, because the software itself is really good. And I personally use it sometimes to open some documents which other Office suites can't open, but we are open for that. So I think we also added OnlyOffice lately. So there's a wider variety to choose from Office suites now in Manjaro.
Very nice. All right, the other question I had was...
Rocco, just before you move on, could
Go
I
ahead.
just throw a spoke in the wheel? I'd just like to say, I'm surprised that Manjaro didn't follow Peppermint's take, in that Peppermint has a wonderful utility called IceSSB, which is available from the AUR. Install that, and you can use Microsoft Office Online, which is the standard suite that the world and his daughter like to deploy. All right, it's the online version. And you could have just included shortcuts as a la Peppermint does.
Well, we have it by default. Even MS Office Online, we have our own integration. It is by default in the full editions.
And how are the shortcuts done then? How do you make the shortcut links? Yeah, to the various websites.
There are menu entries.
You have just menu entries.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Not in
the web application.
So may I just ask, if you already have that in there with all these shortcuts to Word, Excel, PowerPoint, etc., why did you feel the need to include another free open source, if you like, or partially proprietary Office suite when you'd already got access to LibreOffice and Microsoft Office Online? Why? What was the thinking of putting yet another Office suite into Manjaro? I'm just posing the question. I'm not being pedantic.
Well, it is a native Linux application. That's the difference, and not just a web application integration. I think it's always important to be able to work offline also. And it was also that we were approached by SoftMaker, and it was an exciting cooperation. Also, as you can see, we had discussions with them about what the Linux community likes and what is important for them. For example, dark theming, which apparently on other platforms is not such a big deal. But when you install an application on Linux, everybody immediately says, "Oh, I need a dark theme." So that's also a concession they made more or less for us or to the Linux community in general, that they included a dark theming option twice. It's two, actually. Also in the free version, because it used to be only in the paid version. So yeah, it was just an exciting.
So it was a good opportunity to have a collaborative effort between the two of you to hopefully produce a better Linux option than what's currently available out there.
It is. I mean, the difference between the MS Office Online and free Office is that it's a native application that tries to be as compatible as possible with Microsoft Documents, and they have been. It has been their goal for many years. So it's.
Okay, thanks for that. Sorry, Rocco. Thank you. Cheers. Thank you, Bernard. Very good.
That's why we're here, EB, is to ask questions.
And I know this man, EB. I know you from my
Not when
past,
I'm on the
my old edition of Fluxbox. You remember?
Oh, Fluxbox, that was awesome, dude. Awesome.
It has died since, unfortunately, but yeah, you know.
Happy days. Yeah.
That's when
Absolutely.
I first saw you.
You know, you poor thing. Well, as you can see, I'm now in the I can't even say it, degenerative stage of my life. I'm just basically withering away, as you can see.
Just now, Evie.
Yeah, I know we're going to do this. This is the one thing I hate about ladies, right? Ladies, they can dye their hair, they can wear makeup, they look fantastic. A man wakes up one morning, 50, bald head, fat gut, wrinkles, and it's like, really? It's so unfair. Sorry, carry on, Rock. I do apologize.
Hey, let's get back to Linux.
That's funny, Evie.
All right. The other question I have is, you guys recently became a company. So that means that you are able to work as paid developers for Manjaro. Tell us about this decision, how it came about, and what the plans are.
Well, until Philip has swallowed.
Yeah, my girlfriend brought me some Vietnamese, so I have a full bowl of rice and.
Looks nice. Looks tempting. Well, we've heard Antergos. I think it's a good catch. At one point with the distro, you have to make a decision. I think it used to be for all of us. It used to be a hobby, right? And it used to be a far too big hobby. You do your everyday job, you do whatever you do, and then in the evening you try to fix a problem somewhere in the installer or whatever, and then at 4 a.m. you find out, okay, it's almost done, and at 6 a.m. it's almost done, and next day you wake up and you're more or less dead, and then you have to do what you have to really officially have to do. And so as a distribution, of course, we have many contributors, but also we figured out that you need to either you really need to focus on this if you want to go any further and not just try to somehow keep it up the way it is, or you need to make concessions. So it was mostly, I think Philip has been thinking about this for quite a long time already. And then, I think it was quite brave also, because both of us, we had to take some risk also with our private life situation to commit full time, because of course it's not guaranteed that it will be a huge success. It might be, but it's also a big chance that we can really bring this further and take a next step into something a little bit bigger.
I have to say that the idea that you guys have done this as long as you have, as a completely volunteer passion project sort of thing, and the user base that you've acquired through that, the idea that you're able to now take it into something that is more of a professional sort of applied, skill, now that you've obviously learned all the lessons of how do you manage a distribution, how do you run it, how do you build it, you have all the tools, right? So when you made this announcement to me, it made perfect sense. Like I said, you're one of the few that have your own repositories, and you have your own release cycles, and you have you've coordinated all of those things. And I agree that if all of those users, if something happened to you, which the world is what it is, you had a different direction you wanted to go, whatever that is, the fact that the distribution itself could sustain itself, not only just from my end user just downloading it and using it, but if there was a company or more of a business application, I know in working for corporations, they won't consider software if there isn't something behind it, because that's a very difficult position to be in if you base your operations on something and then there's no guarantees. And there's no guarantees anyway, but the idea is that what I see from this is you are now literally just saying, we are doing this now. We're not, you've proven that you're doing it anyway. But now you're saying we are going to actually, you know, put the thought and the effort behind incorporating, behind, you know, creating a structure around this, a legal structure, a financial structure, and that signals a lot of things to a lot of different people. And depending again on your circumstance, it means different things. But to me, you know, that's a very strong statement to make. And then also, I think it's great that you guys get to be a part of it and continue to move it forward on a level where hopefully you can do it full time, like you're saying, Bernard, instead of doing it as a side thing and you know, you putting all that extra time in. I genuinely hope that you guys can do this as your primary occupation, and can only imagine that if you were able to focus exclusively on this, how much further you can take it. Very exciting.
It was so often we had the experience that contributors come and go, right? A few of us have really, we stick to the project for a long time, but it's like someone develops an application and then we like it, we integrate it, and then one day it's probably a young developer and he says, well, now I have a full-time job and I need to focus on this, and then people just disappear. So that's really can be a problem. And then you have this thing and you don't know how to maintain and what he actually did maybe. And so the hope is that now we can really say, okay, we want to keep this, we can hire you, do this properly and stay with us. And that's really one of our perspectives also, to make it more continuously and more
May
stable,
I just ask, is Manjaro a German distribution then?
It is a German company now. I mean, the community is still separate from the company. The community is international. People are from all over the place. And
so Bernard, maybe I should slip in a Guten Abend, mein Herr. Oh,
yeah,
excuse me all. I haven't got Google Translate up, have I? Funny that.
Ja, guten Abend ist okay.
Das habe sogar ich verstanden.
Ja.
I think her German is better than yours, EB.
Yeah.
Maybe even better than mine, being Tyrolean.
Yeah, Bernard, this is the sort of abuse I suffer on a daily basis. Somebody said, then they have to wade in with all better than you, EB. Sorry, whoever said that comment, can we listen to your German, please?
I don't have any, EB.
Yeah. Funny that, yeah. So maybe
Hallo ist schon German. Say hello and you speak German.
Do we have a German lady in the crew?
Yes, I'm a lady. I'm a German lady.
Welcome to Linux. Honey, oh, this is awesome.
Here we go.
Oh, hi.
Wie geht es Ihnen?
I'm shy. Oh, mir geht's.
No, please don't be shy. Let me just get the Google Translate up. We'll have a chat, love. All right.
Dann rede ich mal kurz Deutsch. Sag mal, Bernhard, habt ihr das mit den Donation-Problemen mitgekriegt? Da wollen wohl viele immer noch per PayPal zahlen und können wohl nicht. Und ich habe jetzt gestern und vorgestern auf Reddit immer mal wieder Posts gelesen, dass sie wohl immer auf PayPal bezahlt haben, was ja nicht mehr funktioniert, weil was ja jetzt Organisation ist, weil sogar eine Firma. Dass ihr das mal irgendwie mal klarstellt.
No, there is a basic misunderstanding about the. Sorry, ich glaube, ich antworte besser auf Englisch, oder?
Yes.
So the question is about donations and the destination for donations being changed. It is actually separate from the company because the donations are still for the community, not for the company. It is also good that we have an opportunity to clear this up. The goal of the company is really to be providing for itself and self-sufficient, and donations still go to the community project. But at the same time, when we founded the company, we figured out ways how donations can be officially handled, because it was kind of not really organized. And so we transferred the handling of donations to, what do you call it? Philip, help me. Hosts, financial hosts?
Yeah.
Is that what you, no, fiscal hosts. That's
fiscal host, yes. One is
fiscal host, yes.
The Linux Foundation's
one of them still offers at the moment. Only one of them offers PayPal payment. I think it's the US branch of
Open Collective.
Open Collective. Yeah, too much information. Exactly. But we tried to reach out to all the donors, the PayPal donors, and to inform them about they just basically they need to change the destination of their donation. That's all. Apparently, for some people, there are problems.
All right. Well, thanks for clarifying that. There was a really good question, I think, Peter, that you spotted in chat. Do you want to mention that for us?
Okay. The question was, I'm trying to find it where it was.
You wrote it in. Yeah.
Yeah, I found it. So it was on the YouTube chat, and this is somebody else's question, not mine. Manjaro offer hardware or tools to install on mobile and tablets? So any hardware projects and use on mobile and tablets?
Well, we have some hardware not problems. Projects, yes. One of them would be with Tuxedo, a German company. So we will start to make a special edition of our laptops. I'm actually running one of them already. So everything what you see here in my car is through the laptop. I hope the camera and the microphone is quite clear. So I'm also testing it since 2 months now. I also had it in Canada, where I met Alan and Martin Wimpress, and they find the laptop also quite nice and wished us luck to launch it then later on. And we are about to get it done soon, so everybody might have also this shiny new hardware in their hands. And also we are in close contact with Pine64 to get the tablets, the phones, and everything else on that market done. So a lot of people of the ARM Manjaro branch is working closely with them together to have them ready when the first batch or the second batch is shipping out. So yeah, we have some hardware projects after all.
Excellent.
Very nice. There's another question from chat from Eris. What is the relationship between Manjaro and Arch developers? So do you guys communicate? Do you support each other?
Well, we have a chat. So Jonathan, one of our forum members and the leader of the moderation team, got in chat with the Arch developers. I didn't have yet the time to read the archive of the chat, but it seems they are happy about us being around, and they're quite interesting to helping us out, like Debian does for Ubuntu, to get also our needs with the branches and stuff pre-installed to their packages. And hopefully when we have time to get close in contact with them, we might have the opportunity to make, like Ubuntu is already for Debian, we are the Ubuntu of the Arch world, hopefully. Some already called us that.
All right. Well, you mentioned earlier about the mobile, hardware projects that you have going on. One of the questions from chat was, are there any plans to branch out into the server space with a more stable release, or do you guys plan to stick with the desktop? Well, obviously you're going into mobile, but are you planning anything for a server space?
Well, at the moment we're throwing around ideas, right? And it's to be honest, it's one of the ideas, but it's another challenge. Apart from the challenge for hardware on the ARM sector is that you really need to take time for each piece of hardware. It's not like with a desktop edition, you just throw it out and it works on whatever hardware you try to use it on. With the ARM devices, it's like for every device, you need to customize it. You need to make it work on this machine, on this phone, on this ARM laptop and whatever. This is really a huge field now, and it's a kind of overwhelming at the moment. So I think one strategy there might be to just focus on a few machines, on a few products, and the server. The reason why it is in some way related to the server question is that a main focus, of course, for a server needs to be stability. And we need to, if we really want to go that route, we need to find a way to maybe use a separate branch like extra stable or something, or just stick to the basic packages, just the base installer. It is not so easy. It is something we are thinking about, but it is a challenge because rolling and server is not the ideal combination from the start.
Right. Yeah, obviously it's not going to be, well, you'd have to, like you said, you'd have to make your own, a different repository for it. Like, server stable. There you go. I just made it for you.
Well, it's not unprecedented because, I mean, if you look at what Red Hat's doing with CentOS and Fedora, they are sort of pushing that same space where they want to have a rolling. And what constitutes rolling in the sense of, if maybe not Arch rolling or the way that we experience rolling being so bleeding edge, but the fact that hardware enablement and newer kernels and all of the things that you would benefit from a rolling, not fixed release, but obviously very selective. So that all makes sense.
It's also hard to get hold of physical hardware you can use that has an ARM CPU inside it that you can use to build ARM packages for ARM. When HP used to sell ARM servers, we'd buy some of them, and then when they shut down that division and they stopped selling them, we phoned them up and bought all of the ones that were left on the shelf because we knew that nobody else sold them. And so it was like, well, where on earth else are we going to get these ARM servers in order to build ARM packages? So just even getting once you decide to go down that path, getting the infrastructure to build that stuff is another challenge. So it kind of stacks. As soon as you add an extra architecture, it stacks a whole load of extra problems on you.
Yeah, you also have like ARM 7 and ARM 8, and there's like not all ARM are made the same.
For sure, yeah. Arish, you've had your hand up for quite a while. You wanted to ask a question?
Yes, I wanted to say that I had used the Debian grub to try to load Manjaro, and I wasn't able to do that. I know you have to use the Manjaro grub. I don't know. I know this is not a thing for Arch because I've used vanilla Arch in the past. I want to know what the reasoning was for this change. Why this is? Why isn't it compatible with Debian? Why was this change made? Basically.
I've dual booted. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not answering for you guys, but I haven't run into that. Does anyone else? Is that?
Oh, Philip, you know more about this. It's the grub.
What is
thing.
the grub?
It is, yeah. You need to use Manjaro grub and not from the different install.
You can run like an Ubuntu grub to load Manjaro or Debian grub. You got to use the Manjaro grub in order to load it. I don't know why that is.
Well, we have one special thing with the Intel U-code and the AMD U-code. There's a special separate image, and all other distributions have the old grub. But with this 2.04 grub, it should be automatically found out that you can use that as well. So I think it has also some like that. Tried it out, but most of the distributions have the U-code inside of the kernel, so that's why. And we always had it a special patch before.
Yeah, and you can use Ubuntu grub if you want, or any other grub. You just have to do it at a 40_custom command and physically take out of Manjaro's grub the bit where they talk about how they load up their OS, put it into a 40_custom command, and then it will build it properly into the Ubuntu grub. It's a bit of a faff around, but you can do it. But that's always been the way with Manjaro. I think since they first started to bring it out, you either had to use Manjaro grub or use the 40_custom section of Ubuntu, and then it works fine. There's a bit of it on the Big Daddy Linux discourse that I wrote about it.
Or you can simply uninstall the AMD or Intel Ucode, and then you have the similar version, as then this image is not preloaded there anymore.
Ah, right.
All right, Nate, you have your hand up.
I do. So I was going to ask, so Manjaro holds packages back, and you do something before you release them. What is that process you're actually doing? Like how are you doing the QA, and what is the actual internal process? Are you waiting for something particular to come trickle down? Are you patching it or modifying it, testing it? Do you have like something like an open QA that goes through the software?
Well, actually, we are testing it with the community in the testing or unstable branch, and then we will give it out. So that's the normal way how we do it. So most likely, when we find something, then we also patch it, but most likely it is as it is.
It's kind of like a popularity contest, if I understand it, Nate. Basically, they post the fact that they're releasing to unstable or to testing, and then there are a certain group of users that are willing to test and will run those updates, and then they'll ask, "Are you having any issues?" And if someone has issues, then they'll post bugs and things like that.
So then you actually pull down then the like direct from Arch packages and you test them against Manjaro, or how is there a repo that you actually have that people can test against to see if there are issues?
Well, you can use it as it is. We tested always sure, but yeah, we will do it on our side. So our repositories are always getting tested by the community, and when it's good, a set of package works, then we move it over to stable.
All right,
and also another thing is that we have a lot of custom packages, and then the GNOME update is a good example, and then we need to make all our own stuff work with the new packages. And maybe if there is an API change somewhere, for example, a compiler updated, and we need to rebuild all our custom kernels. So it also takes time to catch up with everything that arrives on unstable from upstream. And then we take this time, and during this time, unstable is more or less unstable. And then we move it on to testing. And there is mostly where the final QA happens in the community. And then, because of course the team cannot find all the issues and on any hardware and whatever, and in whatever use case. And then if most of the issues are sorted out, then we move it on to stable.
All right, EB, you're up.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to say, Nate, cheers. You've just stolen pretty much all of my thunder, you chub. But thank you very much. Second, I'd like to say...
Sorry.
That's all right. Phil, are you in Das Auto, or are my eyes deceiving me? Is he full Vorsprung durch Technik?
And he's actually driving now, so I don't think we should try and talk to him.
Is he really?
He's doing exactly what he's doing exactly what Bernard said at the beginning. Don't drive and stream.
Dude, you are so cool. That is awesome. That is brilliant. Yeah, no, my question was going to be similar to Nate's. One of the beauties that I believe, or I perceive to believe, of using
yes, I'm
Manjaro,
driving and screaming.
Look in front, Philip. Look in front.
Please don't get pulled over while
Yeah. Wow, that's cool. Yeah, I was going to say, one of the things I believe is that the beauty of Manjaro as a pure Arch is that Manjaro acts as kind of a wall between the raw Arch packages and the updates that actually come into Manjaro, which is great for new users. I just wondered what sort of resources you have to put in to what quantity of these updates are you able to check? Because surely you only have so many resources you have to take a view. You can't check absolutely everything infinitum. I just wondered what sort of percentage of these updates you actually thoroughly test and check and say, yeah, that's okay. Or, perhaps this batch of updates, or they're minor updates, so actually we can let them go. That was going to be but to be fair, Nate pretty much nailed it.
I mean, the good thing is that the community is really quite big nowadays, and most of the even the strangest issues people run into on the testing and unstable branches,
I'm not brave enough.
Also, users of testing and unstable are quite a lot at the moment. Of course, some things we already know in advance. We also check what is about to arrive, and we try to prepare, and then try to figure out when is a good moment, when are we available to rebuild our own stuff against the new libraries and whatever. And sometimes things, of course, slip through, and then we fix it later. But it's also not such a big problem because normally we can fix it in a short period of time.
So is it mainly?
It's really.
Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that it's the community is mostly taking care of the more hidden problems.
Okay, that's really interesting to know. Thank you, Bernard. Yeah, that's terrific. Thank you.
I'll just say from my part, I tend to run testing just to be able to give feedback, and I almost never have problems with testing itself, because unstable to testing, that's where most of the stuff is caught between that transition. And then the things you find in testing are going to be much smaller annoyances, and that's the type of, if you go to the forum and you look at the announcements section, they're always very good about specifically listing like what's in this update, when it gets dropped, and then asking like who's having what problem. And if I did have a problem, most times someone else has already come up against it and has already posted how to fix it. I try that fix, and then if it works, I'll report back that it does. If it doesn't, but it's a very much a community effort from that perspective. And like Bernard said, I think maybe at first there wasn't a lot of coverage there, but it seems like now there's a lot of people that are willing to.
Yeah, it is a lot easier now that the community is bigger. And also, like you say, when stuff arrives on the testing branch, it is also it's already like we have figured out the main issues on unstable, and then we try to figure out how can we make the update work, right? We try it on also on virtual machines. We install stable and we update to unstable. We switch branches more or less, and then we try to find ways to make the automatic update work without issues. Like sometimes we have to like automatically uninstall something or replace something, and then the testing branch is where it's basically the second test where we figure out if what we have tried to prepare really works. Most of the time it does, hopefully. So it's like a second.
Rocco, I really think you should get onto the Guinness World Records. Not only is Phil driving and streaming, that's worth a mention. I'm sure he just picked his nose. Now that's 3 things whilst live streaming. That's got to be worth the Guinness World Record, surely.
Only EB.
Yeah, only EB. Tyler, you have your hand up for a while. Go ahead.
All right, so this is related to the feedback I gave during last week's Biddle. Is there any reason why you guys went with your own tool to manage snaps and flat packs over integrating in, let's say, GNOME software, Discover, or even adding the support into PAMac?
Yeah, we are in the process of adding it to PAMac.
Okay.
Snap is already quite well integrated. Flatpak not yet totally, but it's the goal, of course. But of course, installing GNOME Software Manager does not really make a lot of sense in every desktop. So it's
Fair enough.
We need a native tool that works across desktops. And I think my microphone was turned off about when I was talking about testing branch. Did you hear me? Or did
Just
you
the
not?
very end. Just the very end got cut off.
Okay, good. What I was trying to say was, Philip, you drive. Shut up. What I was trying to say, when packages arrive on the unstable branch, we try to figure out the best way to make an automatic update work. Like sometimes we have to replace packages, remove stuff, avoid conflicts, file conflicts, and then when we forward it to testing, it's basically the second. It's the buffer in between unstable and stable, where we want to test if our fixes really work. So that's the testing is more or less safe, but it gives us the second feedback if what we are trying to fix is actually working. So we try to reproduce it on in our installs. We switch branches, right? We switch to stable branch, and then we switch to unstable again, and we see what if our fixes really work during the update process. So that's what is testing for. And in testing, it's mostly community giving feedback if something is still broken.
Yep. I do have one question from the YouTube chat about the ISO, and I believe it's the awesome one. The awesome ISO is pretty old. And I know it's a community edition, but I guess the question, there is a beta out there somewhere. And I know DistroTube did a video on it, and he downloaded, or he didn't download the version off of the site. He downloaded a beta somewhere. So is that, I guess that's plans on releasing soon?
Well, it's for any edition. It's like we have our specialists, so to say, and they are more or less free to do whatever they like. Awesome is an edition more or less for the advanced user in the beginning, anyway. So I think Matti, the one who takes care of Awesome, not only was he very busy also with contributing to the GNOME theme problems that we recently had, but also I think he tries to find out how urgent it is to really present a new ISO. Of course, you can install any version and then switch branches to whatever branch you want to use and update it. Normally, it should work fine from an older ISO. Also, the only problem is that you have a bigger update. And if there is not, if not really something needs to be changed from the initial install, then it's not really necessary to present a new ISO. But of course, it's all about resources of the individual maintainer.
Well, thank you, Eris in chat, for pointing that out. The most important question of the day would be, Bernard, single click or double click? Which do you prefer?
But I'm
yes.
But you know, yeah. But I'm the terminal guy, right? I hardly click ever. Normally my hands are on the keyboard.
That's why you should want to use single click, because you're not used to clicking, so you'd want to click less.
Oh, no. If you have a clicky keyboard, you're just clicking all the time.
I press enter.
Okay, before we enter this deep and dank, dark dungeon yet again, I just want to say a couple of big thank yous to Manjaro, because before Ubuntu did it, NVIDIA drivers on the ISO, oh my God, that is a godsend. It makes everything so much easier, especially now I've got an RTX 2080 Ti, and Nouveau, hurry up, they're still not supporting it fully. So I have to do no mode set and all sorts of messing around until I go Manjaro, and I just go install, get on with it, and it's beautiful. And the other thing is, if you want to mess around with kernels, open up the manager, one click, next, reboot, it just works. Fantastic job. Well done, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks for that, Zed. I'd just like to take Rocco to task for 1 second. Excuse me, Rocco. When did it change to 1 click to 2 clicks from is it over or under? You're going to ask the question, dude. Roll it out. You know what I'm saying?
We dropped that question, EB. We dropped that whole question.
I have a question if I
Do it.
can. So, what is your process to accept? I guess it's a question/request. What is your process to accept new packages to Manjaro? And can we get PowerShell in there? last time I installed Manjaro, I used the snap to install PowerShell. So thank you, Canonical. And but it's nice to always have native packages, and I don't trust the AUR, and I don't have time to go through the scripts that people run and stuff like that to
Our original mode of procedure there is that we adopt packages in our repos that are used in any of our editions by default. So we really need it, so to say, on the ISOs.
I see.
Because of course we have to be careful about what we need to maintain for eternity. Because dropping a package back to the AUR is not so
easy.
Not so easy, right? Because then you have a package on your install, and you don't want to use the AUR. What do you do? So it's really our responsibility somehow. It is a real decision. If it's something that we think should be available and many people are using, and but it's also I mean, Arch has this process themselves. If a package gets enough votes, if enough people are using it, then it gets adopted to their official repos, and like that we inherit it anyway.
I see.
So apparently, PowerShell is not popular enough. Sorry.
It's all right.
May I just ask Bernard? Bernard, does Manjaro have an official YouTube channel?
Yes and no. We have one. We have very little uploads. It's something we constantly say that we need to do more, but of course it's something else.
Well,
another thing we want to do.
Well, the reason I ask is because you know that Solus OS, when Ike was there, used to do the live stream Hackfest series, which is really good. Phil driving Hackfest in Manjaro, that's going to net you some serious income, dude. I'm telling you, got to get on that.
Well, maybe they need some community members to help out with them videos. Just saying.
And just be careful, because if you do get too heavy into Manjaro, you are of course going to have to run up against Eric Dubois, who I think now he's at 1,200 videos. That's just insane.
It is, but I also think it's an awesome testament to the guy, because it shouldn't be called Arca Linux. It should be called Arco's School of Arch Linux. It's that awesome. It is. It's awesome.
Yep. All right. Any other questions for Philip or Bernard?
I have one last question. As far as since you run a distribution, as far as security and stuff like that, how do you manage that? Security of packages, security of the package servers.
We try to keep our antennas open. We have several mailing lists we follow, and whenever there are more or less urgent updates, we fast forward them through branches. Sometimes we even have to, mostly it's browsers or Thunderbird, and then sometimes we even need to build them against branches. So we need 2 or 3 versions of the same package because it needs to fit other libraries in branches. But we do our best to be fast enough, right? It's not that we just insist on holding back packages and then only push updates when everything is ready. So security updates are normally fast forwarded.
What about the security of the infrastructure, the servers that push the updates or stuff like that?
What do you mean, servers that push the updates?
So I mean, there's
it's the normal package signing, of course.
Yeah, like the supply chain. So you can attack like different levels. Like you can attack probably like the servers that push the updates down and replace the package with a bad package or
no,
stuff
because we
like
have a
that.
keyring. We have the packages are signed. It's the standard, right? We have our keyring, and our keys are countersigned by other members. And with every package you install, the keys are checked. So
I
it's
see. Okay.
practically impossible to replace packages.
Okay, thanks.
The chat would like to know, both Bernard and Philip, which versions of Manjaro you guys run personally.
Yeah, I've already said it. I have a small laptop running i3. This nice Station X Spitfire.
Nice.
And
Nice.
and I have a bigger laptop. I live in a small place. I don't really have a desktop computer. I have this bigger laptop with a more powerful CPU, and I love i3, but it somehow seemed like a waste of resources to run i3 on this bigger machine. So I installed Cinnamon, which is also another edition I maintain. So it's good that I can really actually try it out every day. So that's the two editions I run, and Philip is the XFC guy, but he also checks on GNOME regularly. I would say he's almost home now.
Another question from chat was the Deepin edition. Is that no longer available, or what?
Well, the Deepin edition, it's it hurts my heart a little bit because I love Deepin, and I know many people love the edition, but it has recently proven to be extremely difficult to maintain. They are at the moment in the process of switching over to... Philip, you need to turn off your microphone.
Go ahead.
Okay. So at the moment, Deepin is switching over to a different window manager. They're switching over to Kwin, so they have a Deepin Kwin version. At the moment, at least on the rolling end of things, because we inherit packages when they are updated, it breaks a lot of stuff, and it's currently not really feasible to present reliable edition, but we are in contact directly with Deepin developers, and they are about to release the version what is it, 20 or something. I'm not sure about the numbering. The end of November or so, they say, and then we will try again. There is an older version of the Deepin ISO. I really have a lot of affection for this edition because I was involved from the very beginning with when Deepin was being moved to Arch, and we were trying to get it working on Arch-based distributions. But then stuff would break regularly, and there was not a very clear release cycle. So it was like they would prepare their next stable Deepin edition, but at the same time, the unfinished packages would keep rolling downstream. And so we would have the unfinished stuff and not compatible with itself. And so it was really quite painful, unfortunately. It looks really nice, and when it works, it's really a very pleasant environment. But at the moment, I have to say that from a rolling point of view, it just is not reliable enough. We are trying to figure out a better way in the future. We are trying to communicate from our perspective what would be helpful for us, that they would really release a congruent combination of packages, so that we could. It's fine that we are kind of the beta community and trying out the latest updates, but it was just too chaotic to be honest.
Yeah, that's a shame. But if it's for the betterment of everybody, that's excellent. So
But
hopefully we'll see it soon.
There is still hope that we find a mode of conduct, so to say, from after the new release, when they also have time to really we really have been communicated that at the moment they're not able to really fix issues for the older packages because they have to concentrate on their next release. So it's really, at the moment, it's not really a good idea to present an ISO and say it's a Manjaro edition, because then people will be upset when with the next update everything breaks. And
right.
So at the moment it's like, which window manager should I use? Should I use Deepin WM, or should I already use Kwin? Deepin Kwin, or there are already two different versions of Deepin Kwin, one that absolutely doesn't work yet. And so it's I really, when I present the next ISO, I really want to make sure that it is more or less reliable, and that I can presume that the next update will be really okay. So that's where I am at the moment with the Deepin edition.
Pretty awesome. Phil, you are finally in a secure, stable location, and we're going to end the show soon. So, is there anything you want to talk about? Anything you want to get out?
I'll just interject and say, Phil, get back in the car now.
Can't hear you, Phil, at the moment.
Hold on. He's unmuted now. You're good.
Me now.
There you go. Go ahead.
So I had an headset in and this doesn't work. Now it works. So actually, what we actually working on, cause somebody asked about how do we do with server and stuff. I think we should approach a server at all, because it's a business where Debian, Ubuntu, and Red Hat are already established. So Manjaro more likely will keep the desktop. And I'm currently working on a new version of Manjaro called Manjaro Solid. And with that, we will have a Docker-based base system.
Wow.
And with that, you can install the same machine or the same operating system in all your machines and can manage them collective. And plus, the applications we might use snaps. So you have a similar rolling experience as with the standard rolling edition, but it's solid proof. So if something is not working, you simply load the older Docker stage. So this is what we're working, and hopefully we have an alpha out later next week, something like that.
Very nice. Very nice. Any other questions before we go?
I have a comment, not a question, if my microphone is working.
It is.
Phil mentioned that he met us in Canada, and I just wanted to say, from the many conversations that myself and Martin had with Phil about Manjaro and the team and the projects around Manjaro, mostly over beer every night in Canada, Phil is just the right guy to run that team and has absolutely the best intentions for Manjaro. So when we heard that he was turning it into a commercial entity that would continue the longevity of the Manjaro project and ensure that users continue to get updates and new hardware is on the horizon, all that kind of stuff was super exciting. And you know, as someone who works for a completely different distro, I think it's great, and we should welcome other distros into our ecosystem. And having people like Phil behind the scenes is just admirable. It's fantastic.
Well said.
Yep.
Yay.
Very awesome. Dude, I want to thank both you, Bernard and Philip, for joining us today. You didn't have to do this. Like, you didn't have to take time out of your own personal time to sit down with us for basically 2 hours and listen and talk about Manjaro. So I really appreciate that.
Huge pleasure. It's exciting for us also.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we had such a great time back then when we were there.
Destination Linux, yes.
Yes, 2 years ago already.
It was. I looked at that. It was September of 17
Very
that we
nice
did
memory.
that.
Yeah, it was great fun.
Yep.
So I was really looking forward to this.
So may I just ask Bernard, is Rocco's turned into a wuss. I'm going to reel this right out here. Your toilet paper, dude, is it above or below?
There's a Linux Spotlight question that started off originally, but we dropped it. Does your toilet paper
Rocco needs to grow a pair? You know.
Does your toilet paper fall forward or backwards?
Forward.
Or are you civilized enough to have a bidet?
Really, we got to go here, right?
But my taskbar is on the bottom.
What? Wait. We didn't get to ask Phil. Philip, single click or double click?
By me, it's double.
Oh, man, come on!
Double click for life.
Oh, Rocco's not getting love.
I am. This is sad. This is so sad.
Single click.
Philip, your moist wipes above or below?
Single click with touchpad is really bad.
Okay, so there's two things. One, seeing as how there's nobody here and it's just us couple people here, I need to have both of you guys on Linux Spotlight sometime. Just saying.
Okay.
And
awesome,
I'll speak to the rest of the boys, and we'll definitely have you back on Destination Linux because 2 years is too long.
Yep.
And I want to personally hear you tell Ryan to RTFM. That's just got to be done.
Yes, that was a perfect moment. That will live in infamy. But I do want to close with Bernard. I love the i3 edition. I just love it. So I had to say that to you personally.
Good. I'm really happy that you got into it. Yeah.
All right. We are out of time. We are over time. And like I said, I thank you both for joining us. But everybody gets a last word. So PZ, last word.
Join us on Destination Linux when it comes out next week. It's going to be a super exciting edition because Michael's hardware failed. So it took us about an extra hour and a half. So we did it last night, and it didn't actually finish until 1:30 this morning. So had a bit of a torrid time. But yeah, check out Destination Linux. And just a big thank you to Bernard and Phil for coming on here. It's been awesome meeting you. And yeah, we found out from Alan why you're such a nice guy, Phil. So thank you.
All right, Jill, last word.
So I just want to, congratulate Bernard and Phil for Manjaro becoming professional project. It's been real exciting to watch, like Popey said, and I've been enjoying covering it on my show, Linux Weekly Daily Wednesday at Linux Gamecast. So it's been a lot of fun, and it's been wonderful being able to have you on here on Biddle. It's just awesome. And thank you again to Rocco, as always. I enjoy coming on once a month, and but I'm going to make that more often, I promise.
Yep. Tyler, last word.
Thank you for doing this extra stream every month. Enjoyed being here and look forward to the regular Biddle tonight.
Nate, last word.
Hey, thanks again for putting this on. Zeb and Eric for all you do for the website and everything else. Bernard, Phil, vielen Dank und guten Nacht. Appreciate what you do, and see you around.
Derek, last word.
Again, thank you for coming, Phil and Bernard. Thank you, Rocco, for having me. And this beard will probably be gone next time.
Why? It's awesome.
DM, last word.
Thank you, everyone.
Oh, it's me.
Last word.
So, Ubuntu 19.10 is out on Thursday. So, if any of you fancy testing it out, that would be really awesome. If you want to learn how to test, then I've been doing a bunch of videos over the last few days, and we'll do some more over the next few days. I have a YouTube channel that's LXDE and you'll find out how we go about shakedown testing the ISOs. And I don't think we'll be around next week, Zeb, because you and I will both be in a bar somewhere in Manchester.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. I'll camp. Absolutely.
And Alan, did the update work out, or did your system crash?
I just unlocked it just to show. Yes, sorry. I now have a tick that says my software is up to date.
There you go.
Perfect.
Flawless victory. All right, Aris, last word.
Thank you very much for the stream. Thank you for the extra effort having the Europe edition. Also, thank you for the developers coming on the stream. And green is not really my color, but I gotta admit, Manjaro is like the prettiest green distro there is.
I will say that I was never a fan of green, ever, even for, and I have to say I'm sorry, but I'm not a fan of mint either, but the Manjaro is absolutely gorgeous.
Yes.
Phil, last word.
Thank you, Rocco and Zeb and Eric. Phil, Bernard, thank you so much for being on here and talking to us. To you and to the entire Manjaro team, congratulations on everything you've done. Keep up the good work. You guys are pretty awesome, and you've said the Manjaro is the Ubuntu of Arch, and it kind of really is. Thanks for what you guys are doing. Please keep it going.
All right, Hanny, last word.
Thank you, Rocco, for having me here. Danke, Bernhard und Phil, für dieses tolle Manjaro, wie immer. Wisst ja, seit 5 Jahren bin ich euch treu und das werde ich auch bleiben. Und Manjaro must not be green. My is
Danke.
We will bring out the pink edition soon.
A pink edition. A pink is not my color. Oh.
What is your color then?
Now it's dark green and a little bit dark blue and purple and.
Whoa.
Oh, rainbow color.
So pink is for a girlfriend, Angel in LXDE clan. She likes pink. If we play Arc, all is pink. But it's not me for me.
All right, okay. Ali, last word.
Great being here as usual. I finally made the Euro stream instead of the normal one. Yeah, it's been a good night. I've enjoyed all that's been happening. Thank you for the Manjaro team for being here. It's been enlightening as to how much work you put in. It's been great. Thank you very much, Rocco, and I'll see you all very soon.
Very nice. Bernard, last word.
Well, thank you, Rocco, for having us. And guys, I'm so relieved about the feedback. I was kind of worried when I read about this challenge that you were about to, and I was almost sure that you were about to find all the flaws and all the tiny issues. And so that's the actual reason why we held back our stable update for so long. Because we are afraid that something might break at one of the Destination Linux guys. No, not really. But yeah,
yep.
It's been a great pleasure, and I'm overwhelmed by the positive feedback. And it's been a great pleasure to to all of you guys. And yeah, talk to you soon.
All right, Eric, last word.
Thanks to Bernard and Phil for all the work you've done over the years and the benefit that I've had out of using Manjaro. Has been and continues to be just a fantastic experience that I've benefited from, and really I'm very pleased in the direction you're going, and congratulations, and I hope to see great things out of you in the future, and I'm sure I will. So I'm very intrigued by the container, the Docker thing. That sounds really cool.
Robin, last word.
Thank you. Yeah, Bernard, Phil, thank you very much for taking time out to join us here this week. I appreciate that. And Manjaro is definitely still the best and #1 Arch distro on this planet, I will say. And I don't mind the green. I appreciate the green. It's very calming, very relaxing. So looking forward for a red version. Rocco, everybody, have a great month. I appreciate all that you do and all the love for Linux, and keep enjoying the simplicity.
There you go. EB, last word.
Yeah, I'd like to say thanks to Rocco, obviously, for together a set at the time. Fantastic. Thank you for hard work. I'd also like to say to the Linux Honey, to Bernard and Phil, maybe you should consider making this a regular thing rather than just a one-off, because quite frankly, I believe you're all German and you represent Europe, which very shortly the UK won't. So it might be a big advantage for you three to come on here on a regular basis. Just a thought. Other than that, much love. Have a great week. Enjoy your Linux and your gaming. And thumb the videos up or down if you don't like them. I'll see you in the next. Sorry, it's not my stream, is it? That's it. I'm done.
Linux Paul, did you ever get your mic working?
He put his last word on the chat. Says,
He did?
Thanks, Rocco, for putting this on. Hopefully, I will have better luck next time. And thanks, Bernard and Phil, for their hard work and also coming on to talk to the community.
That was another thing. Big Pod, I forgot, had said in chat he was not able to be here for the Europe edition, but he also said to thank you both for your hard work because he loves Manjaro.
Oh.
Philip, last word.
Well, I'm safe. I'm home. I didn't crash, so everything was fine. I waved to the police, so nobody stopped me. So yeah, we'll see. And maybe I can also make it to the US edition. I have just to see where I can put my laptop to. Maybe outside, so I don't disturb the family here. So we'll see.
How about the car?
2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I know it is late for you guys, but it would be awesome if you could be there.
We'll see.
We'll try.
All right, Humor.
To everybody, and I have been giving some critics lately to the Destination Linux, but that comes from heart, and thank you. Next one. Awesome beard.
All right, the bearded wonder, Tony.
Thanks, Rocco. Yeah, thanks for being here, making this a pleasant once-a-month experience on the Euro edition, so I don't have to stay up until 2 o'clock in the morning. Can I just give a shout-out for a magazine that's in the community that's been around for 12 years, Full Circle magazine. They're struggling with content at the moment, and they helped me a hell of a lot when I first joined the Linux community. So if there's anyone out there who wants to get into the written sphere rather than podcasting and, you know, into YouTubes and stuff, maybe go and have a look at Full Circle and maybe consider doing a bit of writing for them, because it's a fantastic magazine and I'd hate to see them disappear. But yeah, great. Thanks for having us.
Very nice. Very nice. Steve.
Sorry for jumping on late. I'll look forward to doing my review on Manjaro tonight. Great job, guys. Keep up the good work. Hopefully Phil hasn't started anything by driving while doing Biddle. Next thing we know, we'll see everybody doing
I know.
I hope I didn't start a trend now on YouTube. I don't know.
It's no good. It's no good at all.
But take care, guys.
All right. Again, I want to thank you both for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen and join in. So thank you very much.
Awesome.
Check out the Linux Spotlight episode for next week. This week was Michael Tennell, and you can check his episode out now. It's live. But next week, we have our very own Jill on Linux Spotlight. So that was an awesome episode. It's ready to go for Wednesday morning.
So excited.
And if you don't know, you can join us for the Biddle by going to bigdaddylinux.com/Zoom. And if you didn't, I'm sorry, but you're going to miss the after show. That's all I'm going to say. So that's going to be it for us. Until next time, long live Linux.
We love you.
Hey.
Take care, everyone.